My mom got engaged, then she kicked me out for her new fiancé after my father died, claiming, "We need a fresh start without you." I left with nothing. Years later, I became a millionaire, and when she came back, I said, "Oh, you remember me now?" I never expected my own mother to throw me away like trash. I knew she had her flaws. She could be distant, selfish even, but after my dad died, I thought we'd lean on each other. I thought we'd grieve together. Instead, she shut down. And when she finally came back to life, it wasn't for me. It was for him, some man she barely knew. And I was just a reminder of the life she wanted to erase. She didn't even try to sugarcoat it. She looked me in the eyes and told me, "We need a fresh start without you." I packed what little I had and left. No money, no plan, just a bag of clothes and the cold realization that I was completely alone. She moved on. She built her new life. And for years, I struggled. I clawed my way up from nothing. I fought for every inch of success. And now, after all this time, she's back. Because now I have something she needs. And suddenly, I'm worth remembering. My dad's hands were always rough, calloused from years of working on cars. He ran a small auto shop in Charleston, South Carolina, a one-man operation that had been in our family for 2 generations. He used to joke that he had motor oil running through his veins instead of blood. I idolized him. He was the kind of man who worked long hours but still came home with a smile. The kind of man who smelled like grease and metal but always kissed my mom on the forehead when he walked through the door. And my mom, Sandra, she was beautiful. Everyone said so. She had this effortless grace, like she belonged in a different life, one where she wasn't a mechanic's wife. I think part of her resented that, resented him. But my dad loved her. God, did he love her? He never saw the way she looked at him when he wasn't looking, like she was waiting for something better. When I was 16, my dad started getting sick. At first, it was little things. Weight loss, stomach pain, fatigue. He brushed it off as stress, overwork. But then it got worse. Fast. Pancreatic cancer. Stage 4. The doctor gave him 6 months, maybe a year. But he didn't even get that. Watching him fade away was the hardest thing I've ever done. One day, he was under a car, wiping sweat off his brow. And the next, he was too weak to climb the stairs. I stopped going out, stopped caring about school. All I wanted was to be with him. My mother? She shut down completely. She stopped cooking, stopped cleaning. She barely looked at him. At first, I thought it was grief, that she was just overwhelmed. But then I started noticing things. How she spent more and more time on her phone. How she left for hours without saying where she was going. How she never touched my father anymore. And the worst part? He saw it too. One night, when he was too weak to get out of bed, he grabbed my hand. His grip was weak, his skin paper thin. "Take care of yourself, kid," he murmured. "Promise me. Don't talk like that, Dad," I choked out. "You're gonna be okay." He gave me a sad smile. No, I'm not. I wanted to tell him he was wrong, that he'd get better, that Mom would come around. But I knew. So I just squeezed his hand and whispered, "I promise." He died in January, on a cold, rainy night. He was lying in a hospice bed in our living room because he didn't want to die in a hospital. I was by his side, holding his hand. My mother? She was upstairs on her phone. After the funeral, my mother changed. Not in the way you'd expect. She didn't cry. She didn't reminisce. She just moved on. Within weeks, she stopped mentioning him at all. It was like she had erased him overnight. The house was still full of his things, but she acted like he had never existed. And then he showed up. Brian. He was in his 40s, tall, with slick back hair and a salesman smile. He worked in real estate. One of those guys who wore expensive suits and talked too loud. I hated him the second I met him. Not just because he was my mom's new friend, but because of the way he looked at me. Like I was a problem. Like I was in the way. Within a month, he was around all the time. Within 2 months, he was sleeping over. And then, one night, my mom sat me down at the kitchen table. Brian stood behind her, arms crossed. "We need to talk," she said. I already knew. "We're getting married." I just stared at her. It had been 6 months since my dad died. And she continued, "We need a fresh start." I frowned. "What does that mean?" Brian spoke up. "It means it's time for you to start your own life, kid." I felt my stomach drop. "You're almost 18, my mother said. "It's time to be independent." "You're kicking me out," I said flatly. She sighed like I was being difficult. "It's not like that. It's just, Brian and I need this. We need to move forward." I looked at Brian. He was smirking, like he had won. "You're choosing him over me," I whispered. "Sweetheart, don't be dramatic." She called me dramatic. I stood up so fast my chair scraped against the floor. "Dad's been gone 6 months. 6. And you're throwing me out like I don't even matter." My mother's face hardened. "I'm sorry, but this is happening. You have 2 weeks. 2 weeks. To pack up my life. To figure out where I was supposed to go." I wanted to scream. To beg. To make her see what she was doing. But I didn't. Because in that moment, I realized something. She didn't care. I wasn't her son anymore. I was an obstacle. So I nodded. swallowed the lump in my throat, and walked away. The next few years were. I crashed on friends' couches, worked 2 jobs, barely survived. College wasn't an option. I could barely afford food. But I kept going. I got my real estate license. At first, it was just to prove to myself that I could. But then I got good. Really good. I networked. I worked insane hours. I flipped my first property at 23. By 28, I was a millionaire. And then, one day, my phone rang. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to. Hey, sweetheart, my mother's voice cooed. It's been too long. I laughed. Actually laughed. Yeah? I said coldly. Whose fault is that? And that was just the beginning. Her voice wavered. Listen, I know I should have reached out sooner. I regret how things happened between us. Oh, do you? I said dryly, leaning back in my chair. Yes, she insisted. I do. I didn't say anything, waiting for her to continue. There was a long pause, and then, with a deep breath, she said it. I need your help. Of course. I glanced at my phone screen, debating whether I should hang up. But instead, I just sat there, letting the silence stretch until she became uncomfortable. Things haven't been great, she admitted. I made mistakes. I trusted the wrong person. I already knew what she meant. I had done my own research years ago, mostly out of morbid curiosity. Brian wasn't the business mogul he pretended to be. He was a scam artist. After taking control of their finances, he bled her dry. He drained her savings, pulled out loans in her name, and when the money ran out, he was gone. The house, foreclosed. Her credit, ruined. Her life, shattered. And now, after all these years of silence, after throwing me away like yesterday's garbage, here she was. Not because she missed me, not because she loved me, but because she had nowhere else to go. I exhaled sharply, forcing myself to keep my voice even. And she sniffled. I was hoping maybe we could reconnect. Start over. There it was. I see, I said. And by reconnect, do you mean you need money? No, she said quickly. Too quickly. Then she hesitated. Well, I wouldn't say no to some help. But that's not why I called. I almost laughed. She was still a terrible liar. I'm in a really bad place, sweetheart, she continued, her voice thick with emotion. I don't even have a place to stay. I didn't respond. I was thinking, she went on, maybe I could come visit you. We could talk in person, really catch up. She wanted to move in. After years of nothing, after throwing me out like an unwanted stray, she wanted me to take her in. The irony was almost too much to bear. I could hear her breathing on the other end of the line, waiting for me to answer. But I didn't. I wanted to drag this out. I wanted her to sit in the discomfort. Are you there? She finally asked. I'm here, I said. She hesitated. So what do you think? I leaned forward, tapping my fingers against my desk. My home office was nothing like the one-bedroom apartments I had once scraped by in. It was sleek, modern, filled with expensive furniture and high-end art. Everything in my life now was built from the ground up. By me. And suddenly, I was 17 again, standing in the kitchen, listening to her tell me that Brian and her needed a fresh start. Without me. I closed my eyes. She needed me now. She was desperate. And that gave me all the power. I wasn't that scared, abandoned kid anymore. But that didn't mean I'd forgotten. I opened my eyes, letting my voice drop into something cold and unreadable. We should meet in person, I said. She exhaled in relief, her voice perking up. Oh, I'd love that. When are you free? I smirked. Let me get back to you. And with that, I hung up. She had no idea what was coming. I didn't call her back right away. I wanted her to sit with it, to wonder, to wait. For a week, I let her stew in silence. And sure enough, she called again. Twice. Left voicemails. Hey, sweetheart. Just checking in, seeing when you might want to get together. Then, a day later, I really hope you're not still upset. People make mistakes, you know, but we're family. That has to mean something. Family. Funny how I was only family now that she had nothing. I let another day pass, then finally sent her a text. Let's meet for lunch. My treat. I picked the most expensive restaurant in town. A high-end steakhouse, the kind of place where they charge $100 for a plate that barely has any food on it. I knew she'd love it. My mother always wanted to be rich. Even when we lived comfortably, it wasn't enough for her. She wanted the appearance of wealth, to be seen in the right places, wearing the right clothes. It's why she fell for Brian in the first place. When she arrived, she was dressed like she was trying to impress someone. Cheap designer knockoffs, gaudy jewelry that wasn't nearly as expensive as she wanted people to think. Sweetheart. She beamed, reaching out to hug me. I let her, but I didn't hug her back. She didn't seem to notice. Or maybe she pretended not to. She sat down, adjusting her bracelets. You look amazing. I did. I was wearing a tailored suit, my watch worth more than her entire outfit. You're doing so well, she gushed. I always knew you'd be successful. I almost laughed at the audacity. I leaned back, picking up the menu. Order whatever you want. Her eyes sparkled. I knew she saw this as a good sign. I was warming up. She ordered a steak, the most expensive one on the menu, and a glass of wine. I stuck with water. So, I said once our orders were in, tell me about Brian. Her face twisted, and she scoffed. I don't want to talk about him. Why not? She pursed her lips. Because I don't want to waste my energy on someone like that. But you wasted years on him, I said, tilting my head. You threw your own son away for him. Her face paled. That's not fair, no? I cut her off. You told me you needed a fresh start. Without me. She swallowed. I wasn't in a good place back then. And now? I asked. Now that you have nothing, suddenly I matter? Her lips parted, and for a split second I saw it. Real emotion. Shame. Regret. But she pushed it down, quickly switching back to her manipulative tactics. That's not true, she said, reaching across the table for my hand. I love you. I always have. I pulled my hand away. She blinked. I made a mistake, okay? But I'm here now. We can fix this. There it was. Fix this. She didn't mean fixing our relationship. She meant fixing her life. I smiled. You need money. She sighed dramatically. I need help, yes. But I don't expect anything from you. I just want a fresh start. A fresh start. Funny. You know, I said, when you kicked me out, I had nothing. No home. No money. No safety net. She shifted uncomfortably. I didn't think. No, you didn't, I interrupted. You didn't care. I had to build my life from the ground up. Alone. She lowered her eyes. I leaned in slightly, lower my voice. I slept in my car, Mom. Her head snapped up. Did you know that? There were nights I didn't eat because I had to save what little money I made for gas. I worked dead-end jobs, struggled for years. And where were you? Tears welled up in her eyes. I didn't know. Of course you didn't, I said coldly. Because you never checked. She sniffled, dabbing at her eyes with a napkin. I was SDPID. I was selfish. But please, sweetheart, let me make it up to you. How? I asked. By moving into my house? By spending my money? She flinched. I exhaled, shaking my head. You know, I spent years fantasizing about this moment. About you crawling back, begging for help. She looked at me with hope. And now we can move forward. Be a family again. I chuckled. Oh no, that's not what's happening. Her smile faltered. WH, what do you mean? I leaned back, folded my arms. I mean, I didn't invite you here to fix anything. I invited you here so I could watch you realize that you don't get a second chance with me. Her breath caught. But you said, I said I wanted to meet. I never said I'd help you. She stared at me, stunned. You can't mean that. Oh, I do, I said. See, you made your choice, Mom. You chose Brian. You chose your fresh start. And now, I'm choosing mine. Her mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. I gestured to her untouched plate. Enjoy the meal. It's the last thing you'll ever get from me. Then I stood, placed a few $100 bills on the table, and walked away. As I stepped outside, I took a deep breath, feeling lighter than I had in years. She had erased me from her life once. And now, I was finally returning the favor. As I stepped outside into the crisp afternoon air, I felt it. Relief. I had spent years carrying the weight of her betrayal, resentment simmering beneath the surface, a part of me always wondering, what if? But now, I had my answer. She hadn't come back for me. She had come back for what I could give her. And the second I denied her that, she had nothing left to say. I walked to my car, sleek, black, the kind of luxury vehicle she would have bragged about if she had ever been around to see me succeed. As I opened the door, my phone buzzed. A text from her. Please don't do this. I'm your mother. I love you. I stared at the words for a long moment. Then, slowly, I typed my reply. No, you love what I could do for you. But you threw away your son for a man who didn't even stick around. That was your choice. And now, this is mine. I hit send. Then, before she could respond, I blocked her number. For good. I slid into the driver's seat, exhaling deeply. And as I pulled away from the restaurant, I realized something. I wasn't angry anymore. I wasn't hurt. I was free.